Big news out of Berea. Greg Newsome, did he ask for a trade or did he not ask for a trade? Jeff and I'll tell you the behind the scenes look. And I'm going to tell you what, you might want to keep this thing locked. It's the Locked On Browns podcast.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound LGB on the LOB. Let's go Browns. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd. Also, Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, the Barbershop 92.3, the Fan on-air personality, Mr. Garrett Bush, at GBush91. Appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, notifications on, so when this content drops, you guys are there to consume it. Of course, always available audio-wise, always free on your favorite podcast platforms. We sit back, we send messages back and forth, try to come up with a timeline for a story, and there's always one of us with the, hey, maybe something, we'll get something. Yeah, Bush, I think we know what our beginning segment is today, but tell the fine folks what we got in store here today on the LOB.
We know Deshaun Watson has to be better, but ain't nobody putting it to a test. I'm going to tell you why he need to be thrown for 4,000 yards and 30-plus touchdowns. Jeff will tell me if I'm crazy in that segment. We'll talk about that. Also,
you're always crazy.
I'm always nuts. The Duke of Knee-Jerk is what they call me. And by the way, I'm going to tell you guys, where Drew Rosenhaus appears, there's usually fire. We're going to give the case of why Drew Rosenhaus, in being with the new agent of Greg Newsome, is a huge thing for Browns fans and people to watch coming up as this offseason rolls on. But first, Jeff, Greg Newsome news today breaks. It's the case of, did he say he wanted a trade or did he not say he wanted a trade? So let's take a look at this really quickly. And this comes from, actually, to be truthful, this comes from Brad Stainbrook, right? So Brad Stainbrook, to give you some kind of background to this, he's broken a couple stories. He's actually, I think he broke the Hurst signing this offseason. And so he's a young and up-and-coming guy, breaking stories new in the Brown circles as it comes to journalism. So he came out today, and I don't have this tweet, but his exact tweet was, he came out earlier and said, from sources, Greg Newsome would like a trade, right? Greg Newsome would like a trade. Then you have the tweet we have on screen right now. Greg Newsome II came back and said, okay, you guys sit back a minute and let's think about this. I launched a softball game in Cleveland. I'll just wait and I'll just leave it there. Now, basically what he's saying is he has this softball tournament set up, and it's a softball game set up, this offseason. So he's basically saying, why would I set up a softball tournament and basically not be here if I'm asking for a trade? Now, Greg Newsome has on other occasions been on Twitter talking about whether or not and voicing his displeasure about playing in the slot, right? He's also been named in some trade block moves where the Browns have not come out to confirm or deny any of this, but people had his name in trades with Jerry Jeudy, and his name was, it's tough for sometimes the young guys to see their name in trade blocks. So,
of course,
as this happens, Jeff, we go to real time. Brad then comes back after a couple of people stepped up. I believe it was Mary Kay who refuted it. I think Schefter came out and said that this was incorrect. So Brad came out and issued this statement. He said, I would like to apologize to Greg Newsome regarding my last report, or my latest report. My goal is to be accurate and correct, and today I failed to view the entire picture, and instead I jumped the gun. To be 100% clear, I was told Greg Newsome wanted to be traded. I will never reveal where I got my information from, but I would have never even reported it in the first place if I didn't trust I was getting where I was getting the information from. I am confused as to why someone would lie to me regarding that information, but I continue to prove and learn from this mistake. Again, apologize to Greg Newsome regarding the report. Brad Stainbrook. Now I go to you, Jeff, as we read this. Sometimes when you are breaking news, obviously you're going to have sources that you can't divulge, but it's not as if he was not getting this from somebody he trusted. And there was some things that Greg has said earlier that could have, raised some flags here. Your thoughts on the whole process and your thoughts on how this took place today.
Okay, well, first things first, everybody leave Brad Stainbrook alone. All right, seriously, because he has broken a lot of Cleveland Browns news. You get fit information, and look, G gets information. I'm going to tell you guys right now, G and I, we knew what was going on with Myles Garrett during the car accident before everybody else did. That ain't our bag, man. It's just not what we are here to do. Plus, the other thing is you risk fracturing a relationship that people, look, we don't go to these people. If people come to us, that's great. We'll talk back and forth. But our job is not to, hot take on Twitter and have the breaking news. That's not our job. Our job is to take the news and report and give our analysis of it. So if Brad got fed some bad info, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know if the info is all that bad. I'm going to be honest with you that Brad put out. So we'll get to that in segment 2.
Yeah, right.
Myself, I was close with Joe Schobert and his family. There were, a lot of big time conversations we had. And as far as, his future in Cleveland, obviously it never came to pass. And, he kind of knew that because he felt he was being lied to. This is not our job. This is not our job. But look, the thing here with Greg Newsome is in a difficult spot. And look, the charity softball game, that is fantastic. Absolutely. I love the guy's thoughts and everything. But we also went through this a couple of years ago with David Njoku, who moved on from his agent. Guess who we brought in? Right. Drew Rosenhaus. And basically what it is my future is muddy. It's not clear with the team I'm with. Greg doesn't want to be a slot corner. We get it. Greg wants to be, and Greg Newsome feels and keep in mind, he started over Martin Emerson last year. When they went to nickel, when they went to dime, then maybe Greg was kicking inside. So Greg was still the starter, but he was also the guy with the slot responsibilities. He's not wrong to say, hey, if I am good enough to start over Martin Emerson, I shouldn't have to kick inside when another cornerback comes on the field. Find somebody else to do that job. There is no, issue with any of this in my mind whatsoever. But when Greg looked, last year when Deshaun first got to town, Deshaun went to the stadium, they're doing some pictures. Who were the other players there? J.O.K. and Greg Newsome.
Yep.
And look, there could be something here. There could be nothing here. But, and as we'll get to, when you hire this man to now be your agent, nobody ever brings Drew Rosenhaus in to make things better, to make things easier. There's usually some aspect, like, hey, man, I need a lawyer. I'm in a little bit of trouble. Well, my man's going to come in a shark skin suit. You know what I'm saying? Don't ask him how. Don't ask him why. Don't ask him what he did to get where it is. You know what I'm saying? But it'll get you know where I'm going with this.
When you hit that,
you give him a handshake button, and you kind of close your eyes and you turn away and say, "Look, I may have made a deal with the devil here, but this man gonna get me what I need."
And by the way, on top of that, it's like, here's the reason I don't kill Brad like this, because we've heard from Greg Newsome twice when people asked him point blank. We never knew that Greg Newsome didn't want to not play in the slot.
And Greg, this is also the issue with being very active on social media.
Yeah,
you tell people, no, I don't want to play the slot. What does everybody think? Well, if I got to play the slot, then I don't want to be here.
It ain't like he made it up. And he doubled down on the fact that he was not happy with it. And then all of that coming at the culmination. And great. Listen, I'm not, look, Drew Rosenhaus, I believe, was the agent of Duke Johnson. I believe Drew Rosenhaus was the age of David Njoku. Now, here's a couple of things that happened.
And what did David Njoku do? David Njoku got his contract. Fired his agent, fired Drew Rosenhaus, brought back an agent, got his contract extension here in Cleveland.
These different things are not. We didn't come up with these things that you didn't want to play the slot corner. So we can't act as if Brad made this stuff up through thin air because the player confirmed it, unsolicited it twice. Now, we're not knocking him. I understand. I want everybody to get their money. I want everybody to get their bag. And he has the right to say, look, I'm a first-round draft pick. I'm looking out for my family. I take care of a lot of people. I listen, I'm in the run fit now. Like, I'm in the run fit. I'm a corner. I'm expected to come up and deliver blows to running backs. Now, look, and plus, this doesn't help. He has a guy that's already in his room that has $100 million. So he's getting to see the benefits and the perks of being that $100 million guy right in front of his face. So it's going to be different. It's going to be kind of tough to get him to slide in without no comments. I'm interested to see where this goes. But coming up in the second segment, Jeff, we're going to show you where there's smoke, there's usually fire with Drew Rosenhaus.
Oh, look, the situation ain't over. And we're going to get to that in segment 2. Jeff Lloyd, Garrett Bush, your latest Locked On Browns. The NBA playoffs are here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel sportsbook app. It's safe, it's secure, super easy to use and navigate. Then you can bet on everything from the money line, individual point scores, and 3-pointers drained. Look, I tell you guys all the time, my favorite thing to do, I sit down, I devote time, a 2-3 hour window to watching my favorite team play. Go find 2, 3, 4 bets. And look, they got these on the pregame shows now. They do. Like, I sit down and watch my Mets. They will give you a same game parlay that they think is a good suggestion. So you go ahead, check it all out. You put down $5-10. It's a long shot bet, but who cares? You're paying money. Hey, we also those Sunday ticket prices, right? So you're paying to see these games anyway. $5-10. You got a chance to hit 100, 150, covers your wings, pizza, beer for the weekends, whatever. Go ahead, check that all out. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Welcome back to the Locked On Browns podcast. Thank you so much for listening to and making Locked On Browns podcast your first listen of each and every single day. So, Jeff, we woke up to this news as we take a look at it. We woke up to this, and we knew it was going to be a problem when we saw this. I said, oh, there we go. This comes from Faithful Dogs podcast. He says, it's now official. Greg Newsome II has signed with Drew Rosenhaus sports family, according to Drew Rosenhaus. And so we get this information and we like, huh? Like, this ain't no regular signing. You can sign with ABC Barbershop Incorporated, and ain't nobody gonna make no moves on that. They like, why you sign with who? So this comes out, and mind you, we want to set the table on this thing, right? When you sign Drew Rosenhaus and he signs you to a deal or inks you to a representation deal, look, he ain't doing that just out the kindness of his heart. He's a certain type of agent. We take a look right here. We talked about this the other day. Jalen Carter is reportedly declining any visits or requests from teams picking outside the top 10. Carter's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, is confident that Carter will come off the board in the first 10 picks. Carter is visiting the Bears today. Now, think about it like this. He was supposedly going to be the first number 1 overall pick. Couple things happened since then. He had the incident with the driving with the excessive speed where he wasn't totally accurate what he was doing with law enforcement. He then left the combine early. He showed up at his pro day and was out of shape. And now people are questioning his work ethic and motor if they give him a bag of money. Drew Rosenhaus was called in to damage control. And this was I thought this was a really, really spot on commentary from Adam the Bull today. We talked about this conversation, and he talked about what it means when you bring Drew Rosenhaus into the building.
You don't hire Drew Rosenhaus for no reason.
If everything was all good, boo.
And it's not like he's negotiating a new deal. He's only through 2 years of his 4-year deal, or actually
5.
Potential 5.
Potential 5.
So it's not like they can't even negotiate an extension right now.
Nowhere.
So obviously there's some reason. So I don't think Brad is completely wrong here. Greg Newsome, we know in the past, has not been completely happy, and he hired Drew Rosenhaus.
Jeff, your thoughts on that? Because I tell you what, you don't bring Drew Rosenhaus in if everything is great, and you're not even scheduled to sniff a renegotiation within the next 2 years. So you're bringing him in for one specific reason, to figure out the temperature of what the Cleveland Browns want to do. Do they really want to move him? Was it just playing around? Or for Drew Rosenhaus, not only to figure out if they want to move him, but to get him to the most optimum place. Your thoughts on Drew Rosenhaus and what's going on with him and Greg Newsome?
Well, to basically piggyback off Bull's point, Greg Newsome could have fired his agent today and doesn't need another one. Because, look, an agent's not going to do anything for you as far as whether or not the Browns are going to pick up your 5th-year option. There's no way you don't say, we want you to pick. And even still, the Browns don't have to make that decision till May 1st of 2024. So if anything, you don't need an agent for at least almost 18 months, 19 months, 20 months if you're Greg Newsome. So you could have fired your agent today, and a lot of people would have said, well, he doesn't really need one right now. Drew Rosenhaus, I doubt, is out there getting Greg Newsome, marketing deals. Drew Rosenhaus, like Greg Newsome, he's a good player. But right. I mean, there are a million other players in the NFL right now who are getting, basically sponsorship money, pimp my soda, pimp my whatever. Greg Newsome's not getting that. It's just simply the case. And here is where it can get tricky. Greg Newsome might be able to say to you, to me, social media, and look, guys, you dig your own hole sometimes as athletes if you're going to say this much on social media. Look, Jarvis Landry, and I almost long for the days of he tweeted something. What the hell does that mean? Is he happy? Is he unhappy?
Yeah,
does he hate his quarterback? Does he hate the head coach? Does he hate the play calling? It was always so cryptic. Greg, and to his credit, look, he likes to be out there. He likes to be active, and that's fine.
And good kid.
No doubt. But it'll bite you in the can sometimes because you might say too much.
Yeah.
My point to this may be whether or not Greg Newsome says, I don't want to be traded, are the Cleveland Browns saying, and we did this, G, if there's one guy on this roster that you could maybe say, hey, there's somebody the Browns could maybe move. Look, the Browns are at 70. Look, you traded Elijah Moore and a draft pick, but you lost draft position.
Right.
Could the Browns say, hey, and as we were talking about yesterday when we did mock draft Monday, what did I say? Gee, I don't see the way. I mean, look, this is a really good edge class. It's about 10 guys. But you want to know what? Once you get to 74, them dudes are long gone. They're on the planes going to the new NFL cities.
Jeff, look.
Do the Browns?
We ain't heard nothing about we had the corner market. If Greg Newsome's in this draft, he's the number 1 corner on the board.
Even if he's not, if the Browns can say, you want to know what? If I can get up a round higher from 74 by trading Greg Newsome, look, you want to give me if I can get a pick in the 50s and I can get, it gives me a better defensive tackle I'm drafting. It gives me a better edge. And the other issue for Greg Newsome here is we've talked about Andrew Berry's hit and misses. Corner's not one. They hit on Newsome. You hit on Martin Emerson. AJ Green as UDFA. They hit on that. They seem to like this kid from the Falcons who can maybe, guess what? In addition to being a great gunner on special teams, he plays some pretty good nickel. And so maybe Greg Newsome gets Drew Rosenhaus in and says, look, if there's a possibility I'm getting moved, get me somewhere where I am going to be an outside cornerback. I got no stinking competition. So I am now securing that bag for my next contract.
He wants to be the best corner on the roster. And think about it. This will be his 3rd year. He needs to make his money in the 4th year, right? That's where he needs to actually be truthful. He needs to make his money this year so that In the fourth year, it ain't even an option. They just gonna sign him a year early. Now, here's the thought process too. Maybe the Cleveland Browns are thinking along the lines of, look, it doesn't matter what we do. We aren't gonna pay big money. I don't care if he's an all-pro. We're not gonna pay life-changing money for a nickel corner. So they've already had their mind made up. Like they they love big corners. They love large corners. They like to have more athletic, big, rangy corners. Greg Newsome does not necessarily fit that mold. Plus, it's a double bad thing for Greg Newsome because they've already allocated how much money in Denzel Ward at that position already. And look, if you got Martin Emerson, who you got this year in the third round, guess what? You know good and well he ain't about to get no extension no time soon. He's gonna be working on a slave deal pretty much.
3 more years, he ain't making nothing.
Nothing. He's gonna be out here like nothing. So Greg, I'll give Greg. He's a Northwestern guy, right? He ain't dumb. The man ain't dumb. He went to school there. He knows that everything is against him right now, and so he says, okay, his whole goal is he's gonna probably have to play and ball out, right? And then after he balls out, he's gonna have to be like, look, we can't do that again at slot, unless you can get me out a year early. But this is gonna be a fascinating thing going into training camp because there is more smoke that people want to let on. And you can say anything you want about the softball game, my man, but softball games get canceled all the time. It's called rain. I pulled up, you got a hamstring. Hey, look, don't worry about it. Jarvis Landry used to have a softball game.
Do we know? And here's the funniest thing is, do we know when this softball game is scheduled for?
I don't
Because
know.
ideally, this softball game better be in the next 7. You know, I would say it's probably before April 27th would be a good thing.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope it is before the draft. But look, the Browns may say this is our best tradable asset, and you want to know what? Maybe I don't want to be at 74. Maybe I want to be in the 50s. I want to make sure I get a D tackle I like. I want to make sure I get an edge I like. And you want to know what? I can draft another corner. I can get another cornerback because we've done well with this to this point anyway. So it's a really, really tricky slope. And, look, Greg Newsome bringing in Drew Rosenhaus. I'm not saying Drew Rosenhaus is going to – well, it doesn't say Drew Rosenhaus comes in and says, well, that's it. He stays in Cleveland. Drew Rosenhaus may say, you know what? Let me manufacture the deal for you. You all tell me if you like it. Because Rosenhaus, all 32 GMs are on that speed dial any single time with Drew Rosenhaus. So he may say, look, let me get in here. I'll get my guy where I'd like my guy to be. You tell me what you need from said team in return. I'll show you what I got. You like it? Let's make it happen. So this might be so much Greg Newsome is not demanding a trade. This could mean the Cleveland Browns are actively having conversations about possibly moving on from Greg Newsome. But we got to keep moving it on here like we always do. Jeff Lloyd, Garrett Bush, your latest Locked On Browns. And look, he's here. We didn't get to see what we wanted last year. And now we're going to extrapolate a little bit on what the expectations are for QB1 DW number 4 as Locked On Browns continues. This episode is brought to you by Ultimate Football GM. You've heard me talk about this mobile game app, and if you ever thought you'd make a good GM, you got to give this game a try. It's not as easy as you might think to create a dynasty. When you play Ultimate Football GM, you control and manage every strategic aspect of your team as you play through seasons and lead your team to glory to build an historic dynasty. Now, look, you control the draft. You control contract extensions, hiring assistant coaches, firing assistant coaches, moving on from personnel. Hell, you even get some things dropped in your lap, like this Greg Newsome incident that Andrew Berry had dropped in his lap today. All of this in a challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Football GM is completely free and a playable offline. Play on the go as you want and when you want to. Locked On Browns listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On, all caps, in the game store. That's Locked On in all caps. So make sure to check it out today. To download the game, just visit ultimate-gm.com or look it up in the app stores. That's ultimate-gm.com. Ultimate Football GM. Start your dynasty today.
Make sure you download download and make sure you download our app. Excuse me. Make sure you download our episodes every single day. And if you're not downloading over there, check us out on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you get all of our updates and new content passing. Jeff, we talked about this a little bit. Deshaun Watson, and I've said it myself. We talk about it all the time. What does he need to do? Deshaun Watson, to me, needs some standards, and I need to throw them out there, see if I'm crazy. Deshaun Watson, this is G. Bush's stat line. I need Deshaun Watson in 2023. I need him over 4,000 yards. I need him 30-plus touchdowns. I need him below 9 interceptions, and I would like to see that completion percentage around and above 68%. Now, I don't know if that's possible. We'll bring that back. But we did talk about this a little bit earlier on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and I'm not the only one who thinks that Deshaun Watson should be around 4,000 yards.
Yeah, that's got to be a worry for them. It has to be. And look, if he gets
nope, drop a ball.
Yeah, that's got to be a worry for them. It has to be. And look, if he gets the 35 touchdowns and 4,300 yards, they're going to be a deep playoff team. Let's put that out there, okay? But the question is can he get to that?
He better. With all they
well, for that money, he better.
Pete Prisco, NFL Insider, joined the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Shout out to him for dropping in on us. Jeff, when you take a look at what he said 4,300, 35-plus touchdowns. If they could do that, the Browns will be in the playoffs. I said a 4,000 and above. And are we crazy? Are we by ourselves here? And what is your expectation level stat-wise in terms of, this is where the rubber meets the road, Deshaun. This is where we need you to play in order for us to be a team we win because of you, not in spite of you.
What does anybody think the realistic expectations are for somebody you're giving $232 million guaranteed to? You expect yes. And I'll be honest, we always joke that you go a little extreme. You're actually, in my opinion, a little light at 4K and 30.
All right.
17 games. So you're not even asking him to throw 2 touchdown passes per game. 2 touchdown passes per game would be 34 touchdowns. Your away games, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, as we know. At Denver, you got a 95% chance that weather is favorable. At Houston, we know the weather's going to be good there. At Indy, we know the weather's going to be good there. LA, the Rams, weather's going to be good there. Seattle, maybe a 95% chance that the weather should be comfortable. Home, Baltimore, Cincy, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Chicago, Jacksonville, the Jets, San Francisco. That's going to be a tough one. Look, he is a franchise quarterback. Go back to what he did in the last season he played. His numbers were off the charts. Yes, he should not be playing as much from behind as he was in his last full season with the Houston Texans. But now you go out, you get him Elijah Moore. You go out, this offensive line, you know what you said? We like this O-line so much, we didn't want to spend this money, but you know what? Jack Conklin, Ethan Posick, come on back, boys, because we think he's the guy, and we're going to show everybody why we invested 3 first-round picks, $232 million guaranteed in money, pissed off a lot of our fan base, pissed off a lot of our city by bringing this guy here, because you want to know what? At the end of the day, he is that good playing the position. Yes, his statistical output should be in the realm. Look, Mahomes is a little different. Maybe Josh Allen is a little different. But yes, for him to not throw for 4,000 yards is an extreme disappointment unless this team goes 16-1 and they just don't have to. But 30 touchdowns in 17 games for Deshaun Watson? Hell no. I mean, if you 30, it should be closer to 40. You're paying him $232 million. The completion percentage is 68%. That might be a little difficult. That is a really, really high number. And completion percentage is tricky because you may complete the pass, but homeboy may not catch it. You know, so that does get tricky as well.
Right.
But for him to put up this type of production, it should be the expectation. In my opinion, it should not be, oh, well, this would be nice if he could do this. No, this is what you paid this dude to do. He better get it done.
And I'm looking this up, Jeff. This is crazy because I want to see how this before I say it. All right, here we go. So here's the crazy part about it. So Baker Mayfield as a rookie, right? Baker Mayfield.
What was it, 28, 29?
Baker Mayfield threw for 3,700 yards.
And how many touchdowns?
27 touchdowns.
And here's the thing, G.
And he didn't even start them games.
Did not start and did not start the first 2 games. And the Jets game, he did not throw a touchdown pass. So that means he threw 27 in 13. So he threw over 2 touchdown passes per game.
And his best year, 2020, it was a playoff year. He threw for 3,563 yards, completed 62% of his passes, touchdowns to interceptions, 26 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions, QB rating of 95.9. I'm with you, Jeff. And mind you, this is with one less game. So if I'm going to sit here and talk about it, I got to expect at least for what he getting paid. Really, it should be about 4,500. It should be about 4,500 and about
4,540. 4,540.
Yeah, that's where it actually should be at. Real talk.
So the king of overreaction underreacted.
Listen, it's the baseball guys that get me, Jeff. The baseball guys, they're telling me, G. Bush, I know you're watching the games more because they're much more accessible. The games are much shorter, and your attention span is built for shorter games. They like, look, if you're going to watch the game, nothing before Memorial Day counts. Nothing before Memorial Day.
I don't want to hear it.
And I'm like,
I don't want to hear it.
I said, look, bro, Memorial Day a long way away. Memorial Day is that's like 30. Listen, we still got the.
You're talking about like 50-something games. So you're telling me your team is 10 under by Memorial Day. You're saying that will be fine.
I will be good.
Hell no.
Josh Bell will pull it together. I know. Listen, I know we gave him all the money, and he's that's supposed to be our power hitter. He's batting 0.56 or something. It's okay. It's early.
But you need the Mets to get to Cleveland sooner because Josh Bell beats the living snot out of the Mets. So he won't be. They won't be there till I think July. So you need to get back on track.
They tell me he has to get adjusted to American League play and all this. I'm like, come on, you baseball guys. You guys kill me with that. So we'll see how they react in a couple of weeks. So we'll see how that goes, man.
All right. So look, we got to a ton here today. Obviously, look, the situation with Greg Newsome, and look, the situation, it's been brewing. Now, today, you make a move like Rosenhaus, then you try to say you put out the social media post, say, no, all things are good. Look, Drew Rosenhaus, like you're having a party at the crib. It's, oh, he's here. This doesn't usually work out well. It's not like he showed up. Oh, man, you guys might be running low on beer. I brought an extra, I brought an extra couple cases. I got pizza on the way. Drew Rosenhaus is that guy, punking it. Let me get these coals, get this fire going again. Yeah. So, look, the situation is there. And you tell me right now, in my heart of hearts, I think this would be done by the draft. If you tell me we get through not night 1, night 2. If we get through Friday night of the draft and Greg Newsome is still a Cleveland Brown, then I think, you know what? I think it's going to happen. But up until that, I don't know just yet. And I'll be honest. Look, if Greg says, look, I don't think, and Greg can say whatever he wants, and this might not be the best situation for him, but you're a hell of a lot better saying, no, I'm cool. I'm content. I'm happy here. As opposed to say, get me out. Because you say, get me out. And how many times do y'all seen this with the Browns over the years? And those are the guys you always up. So he's smart enough to say, hey, I'm good. Chill, But meanwhile, in the back of his mind, he's saying, hey, well, let me look at some different zip codes and, some oceanfront property. But look, this situation is not over in any way whatsoever with Greg Newsome. Greg's a good player. Greg's a good kid, really active in the community, as we all know. But this could be something where maybe it just ain't working between both sides. And in those situations, the Browns say we got an extremely lot on the line this year. So we can't get to a position like we did last year where Jadeveon Clowney tells us, nah, you know what? I'm only playing on 3rd down. You can't get to a position like that again. You just can't for this team with everything and the expectations they have. So it's there. It's brewing. And Deshaun Watson, oh, hell yeah. We're expecting Madden numbers, kids. Hell yeah, we are. He is Garrett Bush, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, Monday through Friday, 11 to 1, of course, on-air personality, host the Barbershop Saturday mornings, 92.3 The Fan. Make sure you're following at GBush91. Myself, Jeff Lloyd, at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd. Show at Locked On Browns. Follow back account. For you audio folks, always available, always free on your favorite podcast platform. And YouTube, subscribe, notifications on. Throw some likes on the episode for you boys as we're here busting our butts every day, doing the best we can for you. All that being said, this has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB. Let's go Browns.